When I found out I was pregnant, it's not the typical story that you hear. The husband's thrilled and you get a baby shower and the family's all excited and all that good stuff. Didn't go down that way for me. I never had a baby shower. I've had like 2 birthdays maybe in my whole life. It's just not something that was very important. There was just no celebratory things that ever went down. Anyway, find out I'm pregnant. I tell my husband I'm pregnant. We go to a little place in town. The midwife does it. His reaction was, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to abort it, or are you going to stay married to me? I said, well, I'm not going to abort it. And he said, well, then why don't I just drive this car into a building or a brick wall and kill us all? And I said, why not let me out at a stop sign and I'll just go home? And I did. Basically, he took me to my mom's and dropped me off. And he was gone for about 3 months. During that time, he was living in a car somewhere in another little town, and I was working. There was a convenience store about a mile from my mom's house, and I would walk to and from work, and I wasn't letting anyone know I was pregnant, and I was, just being real careful and didn't want anybody to know the situation because thought they might want someone a little more stable. I was a good worker. They didn't know. They didn't ask. I didn't tell. Moving on. One day, about 3 months pregnant, here he comes, Mike's husband, down the road. I get in the car. He takes me to my mom's. Well, I've been thinking about it. I'll get together. Let's be a family, blah, blah, blah. Go to my mom's house, and she's like, oh, hell no, he's not staying here. And you are more than welcome, but I'm telling you right now, if you decide to be with him, this isn't just he can't stay here. This is us or him, kind of. Because he is no good, and he's never going to be any good, blah, blah, blah. And you need to cut the ties loose right now. You need to stay here, raise your baby, get on your feet, go on with life. And go on. You need to leave him alone, or you need to go with him. And I said, well, I don't have any stability here. I mean, you think this is some option, but I have never had stability. Everybody's mad at each other already because the house is too full of people that are just angry, and I don't want a baby coming into that, and Dad wasn't around, so maybe he's got it together. Maybe he wants to be a dad. So off I went. Well, we didn't have any money. I had my little job, but it wasn't payday. I hadn't, of course, no notion he was coming in. And I worked part-time, so I didn't have that much. So we decided that we would spend what little bit I had getting things to live in the car. So we went and got an ice chest, blanket, a little bit of food, blah, blah. And we find a church out in the country, and we go and park behind there. And we ended up doing that about 6 months. Work did eventually know I was pregnant and getting bigger, and they, by then, loved me, and they didn't care, and they were, worried about me doing stuff. They would let us start having the scrap pieces, thought that was strange, but, didn't ask questions. Young couple, baby coming, things are tight, and they, of course, knew what they were paying me, so we had a deli so that I could have the scrap ends, and I would take full advantage of washing up in the sink, and he would take full advantage of washing up in the bathroom, and he was looking for work, and blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Well, one day he drops me off, and the car won't start again. And he calls a family member who he doesn't talk to very often, but they've been very good to him and me as well, so thank you very much for that. You'll probably never see this, but thank you. And they went and got the part, and they were going to fix the car, and I had not went out. I stayed inside. I was at work, and he was like, well, where are you staying now? And he said, well, you just fixed it. And he was like, in the car? You can't stay in the car. Come on, it's like February. You can't do this. And it had been cold, and he's like, well, I just don't have an option. I just don't have the money, and I'm not working, and I can't get the funding together for a place to stay. And there was a little trailer park about a block from there, and he said, those places down there, you couldn't get something there. And he says, well, no, I can't afford anything anywhere. And he says, well, then come home with me. I don't want you in the car. It's too cold. He said, well, it's not just me. And he came over and tapped on the window, and he was like, come here, come here, come here. And I went outside, and 9 months pregnant, and there I am. And he said, this is my wife, and well, you see, we're fixing to have a baby. And he was like, oh, hell no. There's nobody blood related coming into this world in a car. So went down to the trailer park. I stayed at work. They went down to the trailer park, worked a deal out with the manager, paid 6 months rent, and put groceries, paid the utilities, which went through the manager of the trailer park, whatever, and got it all taken care of. And I think gave him $100 and didn't worry about the car part and all that. So had it set up. Well, it was awesome that first night. My God, they rounded up a mattress for us to sleep on, and we had some groceries that we could cook. It was awesome because everything came out of an ice chest, usually, or the deli. But there about 3 days, and then the police showed up, and apparently when I had been living at my mom's for those first 3 months, he had been sleeping behind a gas station or random places in a neighboring town, and some stuff had happened, and they blamed it or thought that he was maybe the suspicious character, and they came and took him to jail, and searched the house with a search warrant and asked me a lot of questions, and they were looking for clothes they never found, and it turned out it was all bogus. They brought him back home, but it was 3 days later. And during that meantime, I'm like, I'm fixing to have a baby. I'm only working part-time, have no idea how to afford daycare, who's going to watch her. So what am I going to do? And I went to the landlord and I renegotiated, and I said, you've got that little bitty travel trailer that's like fits a full-size bed and has a little kitchenette and a place for a couch and a one toilet bathroom. Can you work the money out to where I can get that and maybe get 9 months rent instead of 6 months rent? And he said, yeah. And so then I moved over there. But then my husband came home and we all worked it out. So that was the time of my living in the car. I cried myself to sleep many, many nights scared that my baby's first days would be in the car between us in March. So it worked out, and thank you again. And God works in miracles and in mysterious ways, and things got better and things were awesome, and until now that I can't work, and I'm facing that again, quite honestly, and I'm quite scared, but we are just going to keep believing and praying things are going to turn around. But that's the story of the time I was homeless. So hope everybody's having a good afternoon. Hope I didn't bum anybody out. If I bummed you out, go turn on the radio and do a little dancing, and then get it back together before you got to go cook dinner, because it's almost that time. So, anyway, peace. Be good.